Did you know on average 10 handicap golfers hit the green in regulation 32% of the time? As a 20 handicap golfer, you'd be expected to hit the green in around 14% of the time, and scratch golfers at 59%. Now in today's video, I've got a little case study for you because one of my online students was a 7 handicap golfer, so we would have expected him to maybe be around the 35 to 40% mark. He was actually below the 32%. So he wasn't hitting 32% of greens in regulation, which 10 handicappers do. So he was always struggling to really get down and play to his handicap. Now, what we also had to do was check his other parameters. So his distance, for example, he was long. 161 yards is the average 7-iron total distance of a 10 handicap golfer. 178 yards is that of a scratch golfer. He is 175 yards. So he was closer to being a scratch golfer in terms of his distance, but actually closer to being a 12 handicapper or so in terms of his green in regulation, which then obviously meant his up and down ratio wasn't going to be as good as he would have liked either. But I think that was also because he was missing the greens. So what we had to do is pinpoint, why are you missing the green? And that brings me perfectly onto today's topic. We're going to be talking about club face control. How this particular student just kept missing pull after pull after pull hook to the left, and then he would manipulate one and hit a big block to the right, causing that two-way miss. I'm going to be giving you 2 drills that you can do to understand your club face better, control it better, and like this online student, hit more greens in regulation. If you are new to the channel, please do consider hitting that subscribe button. I will get you set up with your Shotscope data as well if you do have a Shotscope device. It enables me as a coach to see all of your data from driving accuracy, driving distance, you name it, we've got it. So the more data I can get on your game, the more we can dissect where the major faults are. Let's get those quick wins and make you a better player. So you can find me on the Skillist app, or if you just want to enjoy the free online coaching tips here on YouTube, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell for notifications so YouTube will tell you when I am releasing a new video. Right, let's get stuck in to this because this is gold. Right, so in this video we're going to be looking at 2 key changes. The first one is how his body comes into the golf ball at impact, because his upper body was leaning too far away from the target, creating spine tilt away as his weight and this pressure was moving to the target, creating the hand movements that made that ball go to the left. So I'm going to be explaining more about that in detail, but also we're going to be talking a little bit about his setup. So one of the key things he did in setup was just to really encourage his spine angle, just to be a little bit more on towards that left-hand side. He had that his natural shot shape was a draw. He encouraged the ball to draw with a lot of hand movement through the golf ball, but because his upper body was so tilted back, the hands became much more aggressive within the golf swing than we would have liked. Now also, what we wanted to try and do to encourage him to be more onto this left side, I got him to put a lot more weight into this lead foot, so really just feel like this left hip just sits over the top of this left heel as you're coming into the setup position, and also just feel like the sternum was a little bit more left of the golf ball. And as he then moved up towards the top of the backswing, I wanted him to try and stay nice and central. For him, this actually felt like a reverse pivot. It was as if he was moving too much into this left side, because naturally as he starts to swing back, he doesn't have that full rotation, so he's kind of conscious that he's got to create power on the way down, and in doing so, leaves that upper body leaning away from the target and gets the golf club stuck behind, meaning the hands have to flip. So the hands had no alternative but to flip, otherwise the golf club lands into the ground. So that first change of the lesson was just getting the sternum to the left of the golf ball, the weight more onto the left side, and for him, I wanted him to really feel like he was hitting a punch shot. So as a very good player, he was able to kind of create that feeling where I was saying to him, get a nice half swing on the way back, keep the weight forward into the lead side, and then just hold a short and follow through position, feeling as though when he comes into the golf ball, his chest is more over his left foot. Now that in an ideal world is a slight exaggeration on where we'd like it, but not massive. But obviously to him, when you're making changes, he was really feeling like he was over here. So when you are making changes, they tend to be really exaggerated. It's like when you make a grip change, you feel like the whole golf swing has completely changed. It hasn't, but it's a horrible change, and you've got to stick with the changes. Once you've committed to these changes, stick with them because you know they are for the good. That adjustment there is also really good for players that are trying to increase their angle of attack into the golf ball. If you can hit down more on the golf ball, you're more than likely going to have better control of the club face. You're going to have that better ball and turf interaction as you come into impact, which means it's less likely for you to spin that face through impact and miss the golf ball, miss the target to the left-hand side. So he was able to start to compress the ball better, meaning the hands didn't have to be as active. They will always naturally release the golf club down into the ball as you're coming into impact, but we didn't want them to over-release. His angle of attack, because of spine angle, became very shallow, which means he had very little, if any, ground interaction with the golf club post-impact. We wanted to really change that and completely change the ball's flight, the way it felt at impact, meaning that he didn't have to panic through the ball with the hands. That is something you do have to get used to, and that takes repetition, and it takes a few golf balls on the range as well. Drill number 2, we talked about that transition, how he's going to bring the golf club back into the ball. Now, as a drawer of the golf ball, meaning he was moving the ball from right to left in the air, swinging the golf club from the inside and potentially starting the ball right of target and drawing it back to the target. I wanted him to have the opposite feeling. I often associate, and this is a generic association, but when you swing it from the inside by too much, your angle of attack, so the angle of the golf club when it's coming into the golf ball, comes too shallow, so it gets to the ground too early. And then from here, you flip with the club face, you rotate it, so it has that curvature. Okay, so I wanted him to do the opposite. I wanted him to feel like he was going to slice the ball. So that means then I wanted the golf club to be more on the outside, swinging it from the out to in motion. And in doing so, we often see the club head coming in steeper to hit down on the golf ball a lot more. So loads more ground interaction. Anytime you tell somebody that you want them to try and think of a slice, it is a very, very scary situation to be in, no matter what golfer you are. But this was something that really resonated with him during our coaching session. So that's why I was doubling down on the idea that he had to feel like he was slicing the golf ball. That might not work for you. There's different ways and different interpretations of this. But for him, we felt like it was going to be a slicing action. And to create that slicing action, I wanted him to go to the top of the backswing and turn this right shoulder so he was moving it towards the golf ball. And as I'm doing so, remember, we've already got the weight stacked into that lead side, which is already going to help and encourage that steeper angle down into the golf ball. And again, like I said, if we hit down into the ball, we're going to have better control of the rotation and the movement of this club face. So he had to feel like he was going to turn his chest over that golf ball with his weight on the left side. So he was also feeling, I think the slice is an aggressive way of just saying, hit me a massive pull. Now, you may remember at the start of this video, I mentioned he hit the pull. His pull was different. His pull was a club face pull, basically a pull hook. The ball would start left and curve further left. I want a straight line left. Now, the difference there is that the golf club is going to come in from that angle, and the club face is also going to point at that angle. So that is technically a straight golf shot left. His golf swing before was swinging in from the inside with a golf club face pointing left, which means the ball started left, and because of the angle difference between path and face, created that curve. So we're changing his golf shot completely, but I wanted him to feel like the face was staying open because we weren't trying to release it as a feeling, and that the upper body was rotating more over the golf ball with the weight more forward. And to help him also achieve that, then we're going to give him that ball position ever so slightly forward so we can go and chase the ball. And that's where this drill comes in really nicely. We've got the stacked position with the upper body more over towards that left side. I also put his ball position with the 7-iron more towards where I'd expect to see a hybrid, so further forward, which means if he goes this way, he's topping it. He's got to keep on this lead side, and he's got to really feel like he's hitting down and over the top of the golf ball. So again, these are two very simple setup tweaks within the swing that we can make to encourage this adjustment within the golf swing to give him a better club face control, angle of attack, and most importantly, outcome. Because golf is all about outcome. Okay, guys, I hope you've enjoyed the video. If you have, hit the like, smash that bell for notifications, loads to come. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.